Good day, students. This is Dr. Mercado speaking. Welcome back to Accounting 1329, Payroll and Business Tax Accounting, in which in this lecture we will continue covering Chapter 6, which deals with analyzing and journalizing payroll. Remember, we are using Payroll Accounting 2022 edition. And in this particular lecture, we're going to continue covering problems from Chapter 6. The specific problem that we're going to be covering in this lecture is Problem 6-4, okay? In this problem, we're going to once again practice journalizing the payment of the wages as well as recording the payroll taxes. We've already covered some of these problems before, but it is important, very important, that we understand how to journalize both the payment of wages and the payroll taxes, okay? So, this problem reads as follows. The employees of Denelli Music Company earned total wages of $4,690 during January. The total amount is taxable under FICA, FUTA, and SUTA. The state contribution rate for the company is 3.6%. The amount withheld for federal income taxes is $685. We have to journalize the payment of the monthly wages and the payroll taxes, okay? So the first thing that we are going to record are the actual payment of the wages, okay? So then we always begin with our wages expense, okay? How much is it costing us, the company, to employ our employees, okay? So according to the problem, the employees of the Nelly Music Company earned $4,690. We, the company, have to pay our employees this amount, okay? These are the wages that they earned. So to us, the company, these are wages expense, okay? Now remember, in Cengage, they use either wages or wages expense. It just depends on the problem. Just know that either or, it's an expense to the company, okay? And the amount says in the problem of $4,690. Remember, if it's an expense account has a normal balance of a debit, okay? Every time that you see the word expense, it's a debit, okay, to the specific account. So wages expense is an expense account. The normal balance of an expense account is a debit, okay? Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to withhold from our payments to our employees certain taxes, right? These are withholdings that we see on our paycheck, okay? So yeah, you make $1,000, but you end up taking home $700. Why? Well, there's withholdings, there's taxes that we have to pay, there's health insurance, there's a whole bunch of things that are going on. Now, in this particular problem, they make it very simple. They don't have any additional withholdings, just the standard taxes, okay? So, in this case, we're going to start off with our FICA, okay? We're going to have our FICA taxes payable. And remember, we put the money into payable accounts because this money does not belong to us, the company. This is money that we're just taking away from our employees' paychecks. We're putting them into these temporary accounts, these payable accounts, because in the future, a week or two from now, I'm going to have to get this money, cut a check, and make the payments to the different entities, okay? So, I'm going to do my calculations on the side. Remember, FICA is going to be the problem says that the total amount of the wages, which is the $4,690, is taxable for FICA, FUTA, and SUTA. Okay, in this problem, everything is taxable. The whole $4,690 is taxable. Okay, so we're going to get the $4,690. My OASDI rate is 6.2%. So $4,690 times 6.2% gives me $290.78. Okay. Now this a liability account. FICA taxes payable, OASDI, is a liability. We owe this money to an entity, right? To a taxing entity. Our FICA taxes need to be paid out. Okay. So it's a liability. We owe this money. We're gonna remit payment to it at a future point in time. Okay. The normal balance of a liability, which is in this case it's a payable account, is a credit. Every time you see the word payable, it's going to have a credit balance, okay? That is if you're putting money into the account. When you take money out of the account, you debit it, okay? So it just depends what you're doing. When you put money into a payable, the normal balance of an account is a credit. When we're getting ready to make a payment, then we take the money out by debiting the account. Okay? This is just some things, some refreshers from your accounting class. Make sure that you review those normal balances of the accounts. That way you understand why are we debiting, why are we crediting. You need to know the normal balances of the accounts. The next item we have is our FICA taxes payable HI. Okay, that's going to be the wages times my HI rate of 1.45%. Okay, 4690 times 1.45% gives me 68.005. Okay, now let's look at that third digit. If it's a 5 or greater, we need to round that second digit up by 1. Okay, be very careful on your rounding. This is what throws off students a lot. So the amount is going to be 68.01. Okay. The next thing we have is the employee's federal income tax. We're going to put that money, employees, into our federal income tax payable account. Okay. And the amount was provided to you in the problem of 685. Okay, that we don't have to calculate. That is given to you in the problem right there. Okay. Okay, 685. So these are the 3 taxes that are going to be withheld from the employee's paychecks. Okay. We're going to go ahead and now figure out the amount of cash that is going to be paid out to these employees. Okay. So what do? Well, we know that our employees earned $46.90. I know that I'm going to take away $290.78 for my OASDI taxes, $68.01 for my HI taxes, and $685 for my federal income taxes. So that means that we're going to cut checks to our employees for $36.46.21. That is the actual amount that is going to be paid out to my employees. Remember, what I like to do when I finish an entry is just make sure that my debits equal my credits. Okay, very important. Debits must equal credits. If they don't, then we have an error somewhere. Okay, so this is the recording of the payment of the monthly wages. We're going to debit our wages expense. We're going to go ahead and credit the different payable accounts for the taxes that need to be withheld from our employees' paychecks for OASDI, HI, and federal income tax. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to credit cash. We're going to take money out from our bank account so we can pay our employees the difference. Okay? Now the second part is the recording the payroll taxes. Okay? Employers are responsible to pay specific payroll taxes for having their employees. This is an added cost to the employer. Okay, so we have payroll tax expense. I don't know the amount yet, but I know that my payroll taxes expense or my payroll tax expense account is going to be debited. Every time you see the word expense, the normal balance of an expense account is a debit. Okay, so I'm going to leave that blank because I'm going to fill out that number in a little bit. Now, what is the employer? This is the taxes that the employer has to pay. Well, the employer has to pay FICA taxes, okay? This is a match. Whatever the employee contributes, the employer has to contribute as well. It's the same amount as the employee. It'll be the $46.90 times the 6.2%. That will be the $298.71. Okay, let me just make this. There we go. Okay, the employer also has to pay FICA taxes payable, HI. Okay, the same as the employee. Whatever the employee contributes is a 50-50 match. Okay, the employer puts in, and then the employees put in, and then the employer matches the amount. That would be 6801. Okay, on top of the OASDI and the HI tax, the employer also has to pay FUTA taxes, federal unemployment taxes. Okay, that is going to be, and according to the problem, FUTA and SUTA, everything is taxable, the whole $46.90. Okay, so we're going to get the $46.90, and my FUTA tax rate is 0.6%. So we're going to have the $46.90 times the 0.6%. That gives me $28.14. Okay. And then we have our SUTA taxes payable. This is our state unemployment tax that the employer has to cover. we have 46.90, and my SUTA rate is 3.6%. That is provided to you in the problem, okay? Make sure that you read the information carefully. Don't just follow my videos, okay? Every problem that you have will have a different rate. In this case, in this problem, is 3.6%. So I've got 46.90 times 3.6%, and that gives me 168.84. Okay. I'm sorry about that. 168.84. Okay. So these are the 4 taxes that the employers have to pay: FICA, OASDI, FICA HI, FUTA, and SUTA. Okay. So for their total employees that they have, these are the taxes that the employer has to pay for this paycheck. Okay. So now we add those together to figure out my payroll tax expense for the period. Okay. 290.78 plus 68.01 plus 28.14 plus 168.84. That will be 555.77. Okay. So you need to look at this from the employer's perspective, okay? On top of paying for the wages, okay, of the employees, they also have to pay payroll taxes associated with those wages, okay? So those are things to consider when identifying how much am I going to pay my employee, okay? The more you pay your employees, the more taxes that you pay, okay? So they're tied together, okay? When analyzing how much should I be paying my employees, this is a factor. Payroll taxes is a factor that is considered by employees, okay? If I hire this new person, how much will that person not only cost me in wages, but in taxes as well, okay? So these are the 2 entries that need to be recorded every time there is payroll. The first one is to journalize the payment of the wages. The second one is to journalize the payroll taxes, okay? And the payroll tax expense will be the sum of all of the 4 taxes associated with payroll taxes, which are stated here: FICA, OASDI, FICA HI, FUTA, and SUTA. You add those 4 together to give you your payroll tax expense, okay? So that is it. We've covered these, I think, enough. You should be very comfortable understanding the 2 payroll entries required every time there is payroll being done, okay? So that is it. If you have questions, concerns, please let me know. I'm here to assist you. Have a great rest of your day.